Right, how's it guys? Welcome back. We're now finally getting back into doing our podcasts in the flesh. So this all seems a bit strange, really.
It's been it was before the first lockdown. It must have been. I remember doing one where we were talking about the coronavirus.
Yeah.
That must have been February.
Well, and also not only from as time goes, we've now, for those who follow us from around the world, we're in the UK have now got a release of different COVID regulations and restrictions, so we're able to hang out and meet up indoors. So this is why this podcast now is, not coming to you live, it's pre-recorded, but we're live together as opposed to juggling technology and Zoom. So
I think it's nicer as well, like as you say, that Zoom has been used a hell of a lot over the last year, but it's just not that same connection.
And it's nice just to have face-to-face communication and body language and that, rather than just through Zoom. So it served its purpose.
No more Zoom quizzes.
Never really worked well with us, I thought, with the Unplugged podcast. But we also may well pick up that we're in different surroundings, because we as a practice have moved. We're now on the outskirts of Norwich, a little more in the countryside. We've been now here for coming up to, I think, 6 weeks, and settled in and love it.
Well, literally, you moved here 6 weeks after I moved, within like a 3-minute walk from the centre.
Moving was the theme. So the theme we were talking of themes for podcasts, and with the change of regulations and certainly the moving premises, routine is a big thing. It's a big topic at the moment as we come out of regulations, and although there's this big thing, Ollie, of people wanting to get back as much as they can for normal, it's really a case of once again readjusting routine. So routine, important thing for you in your either personal or working life?
The biggest thing that had to change last March is that my routine was get up, meditate, journal, whatever, walk the dogs, exercise, go to the gym, and then get on with my day. But obviously the gyms were taken away, so then it was a different routine had to build up, and they came back, and then they went again, and then they came back those 3 weeks of Christmas. And I think like routine for a lot of people has been all over the place, and I know that, and I'm sure you have with speaking to clients, that it starts off like it was kind of like a blur of these days, and then they did suddenly, like every day turned into the same. And then they got into times where you could get up a little later because you're working from home, so you went to bed a little later, and then winter changed into summer when the clocks changed and all that sort of stuff. It was easy to get thrown off.
Yeah.
And like weeks were blurring into weekends.
Did it for you feel like almost it was quite nice to get out of routine, and then you're trying to find a new routine, and then you like being back in routine, and then we went last year lockdown out, and then it's just been. Routine's been great, but routines have just been changing one way or the other all the time.
But I like routine. I'm one of these people that hates change, like of routines. Yeah. So that even to the point like at the weekend I got thrown off because like I had my weekend planned, and then my wife was like, "Let's take the dogs to the beach." I'm like, "No, I'm doing this and that. Then we can take the dogs to the beach." Yeah. But we couldn't do it.
Routine is the death of spontaneity, but I always think routine allows us to achieve a lot because we can plan and predict and have some level of control.
You can plan for spontaneity though. You just don't tell the
it's
other
like
half
a contraindication.
I'll plan this hours where we can do something spontaneous.
Right. Yeah. It's like taking the family on holiday and saying, "I've taken you to this beach. It's cold, it's rainy, but I brought you here to enjoy yourself. Now get on and enjoy yourself." Yeah. I've planned this spontaneous trip out. Exactly. But yeah, I think routine is so important. I've noticed since we've moved here, at the moment there's Roadworks, and we got caught out with Roadworks. So I now leave home a lot earlier so that I'm here. My biggest fear is to get here late because I've been caught up, and then I'm too late for people who find a different route in. So at the moment the Roadworks are throwing us off, so I leave far too early, but I'm actually now getting into the office an hour before our first patient, so it used to be about half an hour. and it's giving me kind of 20 minutes. It gives me leeway if I do get caught up with road the traffic and roadworks. But actually that 15-20 minutes, it's been really nice to have that quiet time at work. And it's a kind of change, it's a forced change of routine. But it's one which I actually think, I kind of might keep that when we can, because I've noticed the benefits. So sometimes when we're thrown out of routine and we have to find other things, and we have to adapt, we actually understand that actually this is actually better than what I got used to, because we can get stuck in a routine.
Yeah, and I think that's the awareness of it as well. I think our body likes routines. Like when we look at meal timings, it starts releasing insulin at routine times, hormone patterns and stuff with like circadian rhythm is built on routine, with the high cortisol in the morning, low, and then melatonin taking over. So like we need routines, but it is good to be able to switch things up. Like I know that my exercise routine has changed a lot in a healthier way over the last year. As we said, like being addicted to the gym, like wondering like that rug pulled from under you, like, oh, what do I do now? And then like now having to be in a much healthier place and actually practicing, I would say, I'm not gonna say 100% of what I preach, but 95% of what I preach, like practicing that in a forced way has helped me more to develop things which are gonna help me longer term. And it gave me an opportunity to, as you say, explore these new routines to the point of actually it's quite nice not to train every day, Monday to Friday. Yeah. It's nice to have a morning off.
You mentioned also routine in the context of like sleep and circadian rhythm, and that it's actually quite an interesting one to highlight. With clients.
If anyone doesn't understand that circadian rhythm, it's basically your body clock, right?
Yeah. So that's my point, is that actually in our modern day life, we associate routine with what time do I get up, and I've got to be here at this meeting, and I journal. These are all physical structural things, but we're really got to understand from a health perspective, the body has natural rhythms.
Yep.
We just cocking it all up by living in a life out of
false light and everything. Yeah,
false lights, false sleep. Let's stay up and watch a movie, and these are all things thrown off. You also look at certainly the male hormone cycle, but particularly the female hormone cycle. It's all about rhythm. It's in a very much of a set. So when it's irregular, there's a lot of things of what we use medical approaches to force it to be rhythmic. But in actual fact, the question is, why is it being thrown out of that natural rhythm? So sleep, we've spoken about and done podcasts with sleep. So routine is we are ingrained in routine as systems. Mm-hmm. As far as how we digest and so a change in routine or a change in rhythm can be an indicator. We can move ourselves away from health by being out of that routine. Digestive system, sleep pattern, breathing rhythm, all sorts. Heart variability. We and I have spoken about, but we can do that another time. But there are body rhythms in place rather than just I like to eat lunch at this time and planning my life. Your body is already in rhythms.
Well, I think as well that we underestimate how powerful that is, and one of the things that I'll speak with clients with. So over the last year, we've spoken about the functional medicine side, and I became licensed in being a practitioner, and we look deeper into brain health and inflammation going on in the brain. I do a full brain screening, which is like 14-section questionnaire, which goes through different things like stress on the brain, blood glucose management and things like that. But after going through that, one of the things that makes the most improvement is just being consistent with your wake times, consistent with your sleep times.
Yeah.
And that's when we get things like your Monday morning feeling, because we have this Monday to Friday block where people want to get up at 6 and they might sleep at 10. And then Monday to Friday, they might sleep later, eat some food they wouldn't normally have. Saturday they wake up later, sleep later. Sunday they wake up even later. Sunday night they try and sleep earlier. And then their body's basically jet lagged, filled with different toxins that they wouldn't normally have. And that's just throwing off that routine. So where I've seen people that, as you say, working from home, they've had to shift their day from this start and finish to this start and finish. And then people with kids that have been on and off school and all that sort of stuff, there's been a lot of extra stress on the body.
Yeah, and we all always chasing, either trying to get back into routine or like when we go on holiday, then we want to get out of routine. But actually, you mentioned an interesting one as far as sleep and rhythms. The other also thing from a functional medicine perspective is quite enlightening. We've spoken before with cortisol of how even just simple as a late night cheeky snack, especially of a high sugary kind of carb thing, of how it spikes cortisol. So I looked in quite a lot in testosterone levels and stress and supplementation of that, and it shocked me of how just that element of that late evening snack, of how that can really spike a cortisol level, and then you're trying to go to sleep. So rhythms are important, but it's also it's interesting how seemingly little things can throw us off.
But it's also very individual as well. Like that sugary snack for one person might actually help the other person sleep.
Yeah.
It depends on the whole processed sugary food.
Yeah.
One lady mentioned to me. So we're working with her that she had breast cancer a couple of years ago and had successful treatment, and now she's having breast reconstruction surgery. But she's got to be under a certain weight before they're doing it 100% on BMI. She's got to be under a certain weight to be safe for the operation to then be able to have that. So her pre-op is Thursday next week, and we just wanted to get her routine going with sleep. And I said, look, just have a little protein snack before bed. And she was doing her sleep score, and it was going all over the show. She wasn't physically feeling like she was waking up. When she tracked it on her Fitbit, it was light sleep, not getting into any deep sleep, and then just awake. But not enough where you would be awake and actually feel it. She had 2 teaspoons of peanut butter, and she said she had the best sleep score she's had. She's been tracking it for 3 years. Yeah. It went from 60 to 85.
Was she snacking before sleep, or was that precisely that? Because the classic thing is so when I was looking into that, and the stress response is exactly that. Have a small amount of protein just before going to sleep, where you feel I'm peckish,
managing blood sugar.
I want something to eat. The body's saying I'm dipping, but then having a small bit of protein as opposed to a sugary snack, it doesn't spike the cortisol level, so it won't disrupt that sleep cycle as much.
With the spike in cortisol is because of blood glucose mismanagement, right?
So it
spikes blood glucose and it comes down, and then cortisol goes up to raise it back up again.
Yeah. And so, but also very often it's also what happens during the day affects later on as well. So there's a big thing there.
People look at sleep as well, and when I've spoken to people about what is your morning routine, I thought we were talking about sleep. Yeah, when you wake up, are you getting sunlight pretty quickly? Are you grounding yourself, trying to get outside, or using an earthing mat? How are you actually waking up with the first thing you do, have a black coffee? Yeah, okay, well we'll stop that and have that a couple of hours later. You're not going to cut out coffee, but just having it a couple of hours later, your body wakes up more natural and your sleep's better. And I don't understand.
So it's basically almost like your quality of your night's sleep starts depending on when you wake, as soon as you wake up.
Exactly.
It's not about literally
because it's circadian rhythm, right?
Yeah, it's the whole rhythm, and if you really get holistic, it's also about all the other rhythms. So to finish off with routine, what's for you? What's one of your key routine things that keeps you on track, or for you? Or my one is going to be a weakness. Is that my weakness is I get stuck into doing something later in the evening, and that throws me off. So one of the things for me, particularly now with coming into work earlier, is to make sure that I'm getting my shutdown, slowing down, and getting sleep preparation earlier.
Yeah.
Because I'm in a different routine. So I'm trying to be that. I didn't get it right last night. Got to bed far too late, and I can feel the effects from today. So you also learn from, you don't get it all right. But so for my one, it's sleep and sleep preparation at the moment of readjusting my routine. So I'm not then chasing the last couple of emails, and that's knocking me off. And that's when then I get into bed late, and now I'm chasing. So what is one things for you as far as routine, what keeps you?
I think just being strict, apart from when Line of Duty was on, I went to bed a bit later.
I haven't watched one of that.
No, I don't know why they finished like that, but anyway.
I have not a clue what you. I know the concept, but I don't know.
I usually would not watch live TV, but then I was oh, but I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, oh, there's going to be a spoiler. So we watched that last one live. Anyway, I would say that strictness, where it's like, I say to my wife, I say, look, if you want to stay up later, that's fine, but I'm going to go to bed, read a book, and I'm going to wake up at this certain time.
So
if she wants to lay in Saturdays or Sundays, like, I might have half an hour difference, and if I do feel ridiculously tired, like, Saturdays might be another hour or two later. Like, it might be 10:30, 11 we go to bed, but I usually will switch off the TV about 9:30, 9:45, go to bed, read for like 15 minutes and I'm ready for sleep. And that consistency and that strictness, though, there's a couple of times that, yeah, if we're out, it's a bit different, or we have a mental health support group for guys and called Bro Society, and we meet up every 2 weeks. And that night, I'm usually out till about 10 o'clock, so I get home, have something to eat, and then I go to bed probably about 11. But when we have our Zoom meetings, because we have a Zoom, then an in-person one, we use my Zoom room, so I'm like, I'll start the room, I'll be on there for the first hour, but I cut off tech, go downstairs and chill out at about 8 o'clock. And it is that consistency. And eventually when I have kids and stuff like that, it'll be harder to keep that consistency.
It's harder, but the key with kids, especially young kids, is routine. You keep them on routine, life is a lot easier.
And I think as well, like, this is also, I'm in that position that I've built my routine for me. And I think, and I understand that's easier said than done for a lot of people. Like, I built my routine, like we were saying about like getting up and starting my work day at like 11, 12. And due to time zones, it's easier with clients in America. But also I might have a client in America that can't do till 12 noon West Coast Pacific time, and it's 8 p.m. So I might occasionally have that day. But as much as I can is like, no work stuff after 8. I can do my mails throughout the day and stuff like that, but no work stuff like that. 12 till 8 is my window.
So we'll finish up with the key component of routine is routine. Routine is keeping it a routine.
Exactly.
Rather than
I think
fits and starts and being consistent.
Yeah, and it's being able to make yourself the centerpiece of your routine. Yeah. So
leaving on that, what is your routine? What are the things that you're strict with? What are the things that are the must-haves of keeping a routine? Or what are some of the things that perhaps you find harder, which is your failures? That's how we learn. That's how we find out what our routines of getting things right and many times getting them wrong. So pop the comments, let us know. As always, we're great to engage with you, and we'll hook up next time with another topic on the Unplugged. So thanks to Ollie, and thanks for you guys for joining us.
Take care.
We'll see you soon.